what is on tap in today's episode of Kuz's Corner. We're talking Big 12 media rights and their early talks, ESPN and Fox. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let me serve you up this shot, top shelf, college football knowledge. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Kuz, and welcome into another edition of Kuz's Corner. Pull that chair up, and let's dig into the show. I know I've been trying to steer away from conference realignment stuff and all this media negotiations and all the other hoopla that comes along with it. Been trying to focus more on the backyard brawl and on the field stuff, but this news story broke today, and I felt I needed to get a video out on it and give you guys kind of my thoughts. And for those of you who may not have seen the articles, present it to you and give you my thoughts. So it all started with this. ESPN Action Network with Brett McMurphy and others have reported this. Fox and ESPN to open talks with Big 12 about conference's next television deal. This is from Pete Thamel at ESPN. The Big 12 plans to engage in discussions with Fox and ESPN about the league's next television contract, the conference announced Wednesday. The conference said in a release that it would be entering into discussions with its multimedia partners, exploring accelerated extension of its current agreements. Then Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark had this to say in a statement. It is an exciting time for college athletics, and given the changing landscape, we welcome the opportunity to engage with our partners to determine if an early extension is in the best interest of all parties. The Big 12 has enjoyed a fantastic relationship with its multimedia rights holders, and I look forward to having these conversations. The article goes on to say the imminent opening of these conversations is significant as they come more than a year and a half before the league's television contract calls for a formal exclusive negotiating window with both current partners. This development allows the Big 12, which has had a contract through the 2024 football season, to potentially get tangible future revenue numbers for both its member schools and potential additions. That's key there, folks. This development allows the Big 12, which has contract through 2024, to potentially get tangible, in hand, future revenue numbers for both its member schools and potential additions. So what does that do? It will allow the Big 12 to go to, I don't know, an Arizona State, a Colorado, whoever, and say, hey, this would be what you can make in the Big 12 conference. It would allow that school to make a decision. Do we want to stick with the Pac-12, who's also, they're actually in an early negotiating window, so they're actually deeper into this than the Big 12 is. It would allow them to say, okay, here's what we're hearing from the ESPN and Fox for the Pac-12. Here's what the Big 12 is being told in their early discussions. What do we want to do? And it would also give the Big 12 an idea, where do we stand? Do we need to expand? Where would be the best places to go? What markets would be the most attractive to these networks? It doesn't mean that they're doing an actual negotiation. It's just discussions. It's talks. Okay. And it says that in the article. Basically, it says that it's not a formal negotiation. It's just discussions. Another reason this helps the Big 12. It says the willingness of the Big 12's television partners to come to the table could mitigate one big advantage the Pac-12 has in the conference television landscape. At Pac-12 Media Days, Commissioner George Klafkoff said the league was in the enviable position of being next to market after the Big Ten, and they still are, because their actual formal negotiation window is still a year ahead of the Big 12's. But at least by the Big 12 starting these conversations, they're not sitting back and just letting the Pac-12. They're just not sitting back and waiting on the Pac-12 to get their numbers and say, okay, it is what it is. We can't do anything. No, they're being proactive. They're stepping in. They're walking into the meeting room. They're saying, hey, what are your projections? What can we do to add value? All these types of discussions, I'm assuming, are what they're having. And I think it's a great idea. I think it needed to be done. Now, obviously, John Canzano, talking head out in Pac-12 country, made a point to throw shade at the Big 12 again. He says this: Fox and ESPN are entering early discussions with the Big 12 about its next TV deal per at ESPN. Pac-12 went early to its exclusive negotiating window. Big 12 has now followed. Not sure why it took so long. Column coming. Of course, in his column, he goes on to talk about a few of the things I just mentioned. But he makes a point to say, hey, it's not a full-blown negotiation window. They're just talking. Well, no, duh, John. That's what ESPN report said. That's what Brett McMurphy said. Now, there are a few folks out there claiming they're negotiating with them. I don't think you can call it a negotiation per se. I think they're just putting fillers out, to be honest. I think the Big 12 is putting fillers out to see what ESPN and Fox tells them. And also, ESPN and Fox is benefiting probably the most of anybody here because they are being able to leverage these conferences against each other. You know, they can get a feel for what Big 12 is looking at doing potentially as far as expansion or other revenue uh, enhancers. They can see what the Pac-12's got in mind, and they can use that against the other conference. So I actually think the networks benefit here. Plus, it gives the networks a better opportunity to uh, come to an agreement with both leagues early, potentially, and keep the media rights to both of these conferences without them shopping them around once the negotiating window does open, which would help prevent them from losing inventory. ESPN and Fox wants to keep as much inventory as they can. It doesn't benefit them for there to be only 2 or 3 mega conferences. They want as many as possible because they need inventory. They need as many markets as they can get and as many games as they can get to show on a Saturday afternoon. So I think this actually benefits ESPN more than anybody, to be honest, and Fox as well, because they can just use this as leverage, and also it will give them an idea of what costs they're facing going forward versus trying to guess. And they'll have, like I said, they'll have an idea of what teams might be joining what conferences, uh, and we'll be able to kind of have an idea, what their 5-10 year window looks like. Is to, hey, here's what this conference may look like in 5 years. Here's what we can offer them, when the negotiation window does open. So they'll have a clear path on their end as well. So it's a win-win for everybody. Maybe not for the Pac-12 because this may slow down their negotiations with the networks because their schools are going to be less likely to sign a deal now because they're going to want to see what the Big 12's being told, right? So it could slow down the Pac-12's discussions here, or their negotiations rather. But at the end of the day, I think it's better for everybody to have open dialogue, open communication, negotiations, and everybody will know what's going on. And I think honestly, this may be the best thing for everybody in the end because I think it'll help keep both of those conferences afloat potentially. I really do. I think this will both of these conferences being at the table, it'll allow ESPN and Fox to offer both of them a deal that they hopefully can't refuse, and will keep both conferences intact, and will keep college football somewhat stable for at least the next few years. Let me know, Couz's Corner family, what do you think? Do you agree with my thoughts there that this is a positive thing for the networks and for the Big 12 and a negative for the Pac 12? Or do you think it's also a big positive for the Pac 12? I want to hear your thoughts on it. Don't forget to check out my merch store at the top of the description box if you want a cool shirt or a cool hat or a cool coffee mug or something. Don't forget to join my channel if you want to take advantage of the perks I have to offer as a channel member. You can do that by hitting the join button right below. If you want to support my channel absolutely free, there's 4 ways you can do it. You can like the video, share the video, comment under the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Don't forget about the notification bell to be notified of future videos and future live streams that I may have upcoming. Until the next time, Couz's Corner family, I appreciate you tuning in. Q Country Roads.